All right. So this thing, I just want to go back to this Hunter Biden report because it really is egregious corruption that was going on in the White House while Joe Biden was vice president. Hunter Biden was dealing with the Chinese. He was dealing with the Ukrainians while Joe Biden was in charge of the Ukrainian situation. He was dealing with Russians. He was getting money from them. He was spending money apparently on these sex slavers. We don't know what that's about yet. And Joe Biden lied about it. Joe Biden said that he said, I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings, but the report includes testimony that he was informed and discussed it with Hunter. Now, the reason I go back to this is because just like with Black Lives Matter, they try to focus you on some supposed outrage that takes away from the fact that they've got nothing. They can't govern. They're selling Marxism. They're selling the destruction of the family. They took that off their page, but it's still what they believe in. So they're selling nothing. They're selling oppression, but they have to keep you focused on what they think is the outrage. And because there was no outrage, there was a sad situation in the Breonna Taylor case because there was no outrage there, just like there really was no outrage in Ferguson, outside St. Louis. They have to gin up that outrage and keep you focused on that. Joe Biden does the same thing. Anytime he's asked about his own corruption, anytime he's asked where his Supreme Court justices are, where's your list of Supreme Court justices, he always throws it back on Trump. Why aren't we talking about Donald Trump? Here is a clip that's from a year ago. It's been unearthed because of this report of him being asked about Hunter Biden. And all he's got is this kind of decrepit outrage where he tries to redirect everything to Trump. And of course, the press, they're willing idiots, let him do it.
How is your role as vice president in charge of policy in Ukraine and your son's job in Ukraine? How is that not a conflict of interest?
It's not a conflict of interest. There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. I'm not going to respond to that. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done. No president.
Focus on this. I'm telling you, you have no right to focus on what you want to focus on. You have no right to. I'm not going to respond to that. He does it with everything. He does it with the Supreme Court justices. He does it. They all do it. They all do it. You know, the other day in California, it's a little bit of a tangent, but it's worth talking about. Governor Newsom banned the sale of gas-powered cars as of 2035. So 15 years from now, when he's long gone, suddenly California is not going to have gas-powered cars. Really, that really is something that's going to happen. So, I mean, you know, first of all, with electric cars use up as much and cause as much pollution as gas-powered cars do. Once you get into the batteries and creating them and all this stuff, our electrical grid already falls apart when you turn on the air conditioning. The whole city goes black when you turn on the air conditioning because they've got that green, New Deal. They've got the green power where our electrical grid is powered by unicorn breath. So the minute you turn on your TV, half the city goes dark, but we're going to be all of us are going to be charging our cars. So, they've just got nothing. They've got nothing. All they've got are these gestures, distractions, pointing back at you, outrage, all this kind of emotion, but nothing that will work as governance. And you have to be fighting for something. That's the thing. Just to give you an example, Trump was giving a press conference yesterday, and they asked him this incredibly absurd question. This is cut 20.
Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
We want to get rid of the ballots, and we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else.
Why is he even asking him? And by the way, they've cut out the part where he says win, lose, or draw. If he wins, why should there even be a transfer of power? This is nonsense. And the usual suspects, the usual never-Trumpers they were wilting. It's really, this is getting annoying with these never-Trumpers. They have gone down this road of illogic where there's somehow some ideal party that we're going to vote for that's not making any mistakes, it's not doing anything wrong. And they're actually they're actually saying, oh, the Republicans shouldn't appoint a Supreme Court judge. It's just causing dissension. There's dissension. We need to have comedy. We need to all be together. We need unity. When has there ever been unity in a democratic polity? When has there ever been unity when you're in a democracy? We're all supposed to be fighting with one another. We're supposed to be doing it according to the rules and with some sort of civility. But why on earth would the Republicans not appoint a new Supreme Court justice to fulfill the seat of Justice Bader Ginsburg? Why wouldn't they do that? I mean, would the Democrats hold back? It's insane. But these never-Trumpers have followed this line. So now they're saying, oh, Trump won't commit to the peaceful transfer of power. Well, first of all, the Democrats still haven't accepted the transfer of power. These riots that they are accepting and encouraging and turning a blind eye to and helping with the bail of the people committing them, these riots are part of their non-acceptance of the peaceful transfer of power. Hillary Clinton doesn't want Joe Biden to concede under any circumstances. Cut 21.
They have a couple of scenarios that they're looking toward. One is messing up absentee balloting so that they then get maybe a narrow advantage in the Electoral College on Election Day. Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances because I think this is going to drag out, and eventually I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch and if we are as focused and relentless as the other side is.
And Biden, by the way, said that they're going to need the military to take Trump out. This is cut one.
I'm absolutely convinced they will escort him from the White House with great dispatch.
So they're not committing to the peaceful transfer of power. Listen, there's going to be a peaceful transfer of power unless, of course, Trump wins, which I actually suspect he could very well do. Then there'll be riots. Then there will be riots. But the transfer of power will take place peacefully, I do believe. But it's absurd. It is absurd. What essentially the reporter was asking him is, if the Democrats steal the election, will you accept it without a peep? That's essentially what they're asking him. Because they're not asking Joe Biden. They're not asking Joe Biden if he'll concede if he loses. They're not asking him that. They're not asking him anything. I mean, the guy barely comes out of his cellar, so they don't get a chance to ask him anything. But they're asking, these are ridiculous questions. And the only thing that bothers me about it, the press is so corrupt. The press is absolutely cancerous with corruption. The only thing that bothers me about it is the never-Trumpers. It really bugs me at this point that these guys who are good people, I know they're good people, but they've gone down the wrong road. You get a wrong idea, you don't let go of your wrong idea, it is going to come back and bite you on the tuchus. I mean, this is the thing. When you go down that road, when you follow that road, you're going to start saying stuff like, oh, evil Donald Trump, he's not going to commit to the peaceful, he's destroying the American, tradition. Unbelievably ridiculous, just completely ridiculous. And to fall for the machinations of our corrupt press is really, at this point, a sin for anybody on the right side of the aisle. But at least the media is now agrees that the president has the right to appoint a Supreme Court justice to fill in for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They now agree that he should do this. This is a montage of media agreement, cut 5.
It would be rare for the Senate to turn the president down in an election year.
17 presidents, including 5 in the 20th century, successfully put justices on the court during an election year.
6 Supreme Court justices have been confirmed in presidential election years.
The Senate voted on 7 Supreme Court nominees during election years.
And a critical seat on the Supreme Court for now held hostage to presidential campaign politics.
Refusing to hold a hearing on a Supreme Court nominee takes the GOP's congressional dysfunction to new lows.
Just hold the hearing. Seriously, just hold the hearing.
Do you think people look at this as another one of those boots in the face to the president?
Obstructionism that I am not endorsing. I think it's outrageous.
What they want to say is he's got a 3-year term.
I mean, you were elected for 4 years, and you get to nominate for 4 years.
It is all about politics of the ugly variety.
Now, how many of you guessed that was not a modern day, it was not today's news media, it was news media, of course, when they wanted Merrick Garland in there to replace Scalia. That's from our friends at Newsbusters. They put that together. The hypocrisy, of course, drips from them Anybody who pays attention to the questions the press is asking Donald Trump as if they were important is being gulled, is being conned. Anybody who pays attention to the left at all as a serious builder of a society is being gulled altogether.